Hi, I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? Amazing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. I am your host, Dr. Law. With me, as always, DJ Mark.
Sup?
Also joining us this week, Lavender Gooms.
Ahoy.
No kid presentable this week. Also, the likelihood of a show next week, slim. Very slim. But quite frankly, it's not that consequential because we all know this heavyweight title fight is fake this weekend, and the greatest female fighter ever's got the Rona. So she's not fighting.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bobby. I think there's still a pretty good chance we have a show next week. It could be an It's MMAzing special. Lavender Gooms and Dr. Law. Intimate one-on-one session. Ooh, maybe in a bathtub.
I like, whoa, Mike really put the stakes up there at the end. I'm intrigued.
I'm expecting a good bath bomb if we're going to do that. All right, boys and girls. I like, when I go to MMA Junkie and like, all the headlines, everything's covered with Bellator. And it's not for a disaster. It's for good stuff.
It's rare.
Yeah. The biggest fight of the weekend belonged to Bellator, folks. Simple as that. With a massive amount of hype around it. AJ McKee fought the Bellator GOAT, as they refer to. And honestly, it's hard to deny him that claim. Patricio Pitbull for Pitbull's featherweight championship, because Pitbull is also the lightweight champion, having dusted people such as Michael Chandler to take that belt. Beat Michael Chandler's ass in a minute, by the way. AJ McKee, Marcus, I mean, let's just say it, a star was born here for Bellator. The rocket ship is attached. AJ McKee went out there and laid it on their best fighter they've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, I think important to note that this was the finals of their tournament, which, I have to give some respect to Pitbull, because that's kind of a grueling thing to ask a champion, to defend your belt 3 times. And
hell yeah.
I don't know how long it started, but it was like
I'll look it up.
5 or 6 months.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably longer than that. I can't imagine they had that many fights so short, but and he had to fight 5 rounds in all of them. So, you have to give, tip of the cap to that. But yeah, definitely AJ knew this was a huge moment for him. He was going up against, the highest caliber fighter that he's faced so far. Like you said, and like you've been leading up to this fight, Pitbull, you said for, a while now, is like, one of the best guys in Bellator we'd like to see in the UFC. I would co-sign that. And AJ has been slowly making a name for himself. And I think it's interesting. We, of course, knew about AJ McKee because we knew about his father, Antonio McKee, who was, a very unheralded independent fighter. He kind of ruled king. I think it was King of the Cage. I had most of his fights, and I'm not totally sure what. Or it might have been Tachi.
Offensively boring, like on purpose. He would tell you what he's going to do.
Antonio
with the nickname. This is his nickname, Antonio Mandingo McKee. That was his nickname. And Mike was appreciating that I knew it. Yes, and AJ Marcus. By the way, you might want to tell people. We might as well explain what happened first in the fight before we get into it.
I wanted to lead up just because people might not know AJ, and what made him so shocking to us, as we first saw him kind of explode on the scenes, like he doesn't fight anything like his father. His father's a wrestler through and through, very boring style if you're being kind of critical. And AJ was the exact opposite. I think when we first saw him, he won by a knee knockout. So this guy was more dynamic in the striking. And what we've come to learn is very dynamic on the ground. Last year he kind of snatched away the submission of the year with his weird full Nelson inverted.
I mean, Wikipedia is calling it a neck crank, but I just like someone immediately calling it the McKeatine, and we all rolled with it.
Yes, that was very good. So yeah, just to break down this fight, there wasn't a lot of fight to break down here. Anthony was able to win the fight in around a minute 45. They came out to the center, they were trading kicks, and fairly early on in the fight, AJ started taking center. He started pressuring Pitbull a little bit. Once he got him on the warning track, inside that black line that kind of outlines the, not octagon in this case, the cage. He basically was setting up a left high kick. He is southpaw. And it was a good setup because it kind of feinted into a left straight. Pitbull bit on the feint. He ducked down to, a slip. The left straight landed perfectly into a left high kick. Wobbled on his feet, obviously very hurt. And, signs of a really good fighter is that, when you do hurt somebody, you can finish the show. As he followed up, I think it was his third punch was a rear uppercut that landed clean, followed by it'd be a right hook because he's left-handed, that knocked Pitbull down. And I think some people have been a little critical of AJ. He did start celebrating, kind of almost doing a walk-off. He thought the referee might stop it right there, which in retrospect, I mean, worked out for him. But it was kind of a smart move because I think when Pitbull wasn't completely out, when he saw AJ with his hands up, I think instinctively as a fighter, you're like, I have to get up. I have to get up to show I'm still capable of fighting. And, as he stood up, he did not defend his neck. AJ is extremely crafty when it comes to guillotines and submissions. So he slapped on a super tight guillotine, had him in a great position. Pitbull was up against the cage, so he couldn't back down. He couldn't try to dig into a single leg. Sometimes with a guillotine, you can go for a single leg to get a big lift and slam and get out of the submission, but obviously didn't have the wherewithal, didn't have the spacing. AJ just tightened it up real tight, and we all kind of saw Pitbull's hands kind of fight it and then kind of drop for a second. And that was the same moment the referee stopped the fight. Good stoppage, clear stoppage. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about who won this fight. Huge victory for AJ, and even the lead up to this fight, he was trying to promote himself. I mean, I think a lot of people said, his antics at the press conference were very McGregor, Aldo, as he tried to snatch his belt and kind of made some remarks and stuff.
I mean, by the way, let me. Sorry, my dog's all over me here. The tournament started in September of 2019. 2019.
Okay, so I guess COVID
there was a bit of a gap in the middle there, but the last couple fights were in November and July for AJ, and I'm assuming Pitbull was roughly. Pitbull fought November, April, and July. So, yeah. There was this is Luke Thomas's comparison, and honestly, I think it's a fair one. Where he said it was very McGregor-Aldo-esque, this fight. Not in terms of magnitude, obviously, because McGregor's a supernova, but just that you had a dominant, highly respected Brazilian champion and a young gun out there who arrived on the stage, with a dominant performance that was almost embarrassing for the champion. I mean, it was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. You're champion as long as he was. You lose in a minute and a half. He's a big deal, and he made $1 million, Mike, just for winning the tournament.
Yep.
And he made $150,000 for winning that, championship, that fight. And he beat his ass so good that I feel people might not think Pitbull's as good as he was. It's like the way what happened with Aldo. We all forgot. As a reminder, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Pitbull knocked out Michael Chandler in a minute. The guy who fought who was seconds away from being the UFC lightweight champion, 6 months ago.
And that wasn't very long ago that he did that.
No.
I don't think people will forget how good Pitbull is, because as we broke it down last week, when one of us asked, which Pitbull is this? And someone answered, the good one. Then we already know, we're already giving him his roses there. The sense I got off of Twitter this weekend, and I don't remember this ever happening with any Bellator fighter, was there was actual trending going on Twitter for AJ McKee. Very similar to what you would get with some of the high-end UFC events on Twitter. So I don't think it's so much that we're going to shit on, the good Pitbull or, forget how good he is. But I think this is just going to be more about uplifting AJ in this case.
Do you ever feel sometimes where Bellator has these plans and some weird shit happens, right? And maybe it's just not Bellator. It's like a Strikeforce thing too, where Coker's got some bad luck. This is one of the few times I remember, Mark, where everything just kind of came together. Like, this whole way it played out with AJ is almost proof of concept for how Scott Coker books young guys, where he literally got this guy at 0-0. We saw him, by the way, Marcus. When we saw him, it was his. I just had this up because I was figuring out what event you and I saw him at. We saw him win by knee, December 2015, his third fight. Yeah, that was his third pro fight. We saw AJ fight, and we were at that point. We're like, wow, this guy He's good. He's real good. And everything came together, and like they had a hot crowd. It was in Inglewood, which is 30 minutes from where AJ trains and lives. He came out to some Nothing But a G thing in Inglewood, which was smart. And this is really like it's you don't get a lot of fighters, I feel, where like we all knew his dad and now he's like a prospect because of that. You know what I mean? I mean, this sport's still very young. I remember like with Cron Gracie, people got really excited, right? Because it's Hickson's son, you know? It's mostly been Gracie's. I wonder if this is the start of a thing here, though, because I remember seeing this really cool post on Twitter from MMA Fighting, I think it was, where they said if you put Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, and Rampage Jackson in one room, the only thing they'll agree on is how good AJ McKee is. And that's because his dad, Antonio, trained in LA with all these guys for 20 years. So they're all talking about how like when AJ was like 6 years old and 8 years old, he was in the gym and stuff. So I don't know. I almost wonder, like, are we going to see like the kids of more fighters, like, you know? I don't know. I mean, it's going to have to happen over time, of course. The sport, again, still
historically,
developing.
we haven't really seen that in any combat sports. Really, when I mean, there's been some juniors like who's the guy just lost to Anderson, right?
Cesar Chavez.
But yes, exactly. Thank you. I think in this particular case, I think generational talents in and of themselves are kind of rare, and I have to imagine that in combat sports, probably more so, just because it is very difficult to break through, right? Just having a name is a good start. It'll get you through the door, but you have to, there has to be merit to your abilities and your skill. And I think that's not something that is necessarily passed down. And also, I have to imagine if you're a successful combat sport prize fighter, I don't know if you're really thinking like, let's get my offspring into this line of work, because it doesn't, at best, they can mirror what you did, maybe. At worst, they're losing brain cells and getting beaten, so it's not really something that I don't think a lot of parents want to push their kids into.
The only ones I've heard of, I know that like Bisping's son is like it's funny, Bisping's son's like a state champion in California in wrestling. And like I know Quentin Rampage Jackson, one of his sons, he wants to fight and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was actually really sweet. I liked when they showed Antonio and how excited he was for his son, and he didn't try to like make the story about himself at any point, of course. Like, this is, my son, and they brought his mom in there, and that was all cool. Pitbull, man, it was very Aldo. I felt I thought maybe like, is Antonio in this guy's head? Because I didn't think AJ was even being that disrespectful at the press conference. Because like, Pitbull's like, I'm gonna knock you out in front of your dad. And then AJ's like, well, I'm gonna knock you out in front of your wife and kid. And then Pitbull's like, are you gonna talk shit about my wife and kid? And AJ was like, it was almost like that Star Wars meme where he's just like, hold on now, this was your idea. Like, this whole operation, like...
Very matter of fact.
Yeah, it's like...
My guy, you started this.
You started
said you knock me out in front of my dad.
Yeah,
I'm going to knock you out in front of your wife and kids then.
Yeah. And then, like, he says, I'm going to take this, and he grabbed the belt for a moment. The real question here is, where do we go? Because I think a lot of people thought the number one contender was going to be determined. I think people expected Emmanuel Sanchez to get that win in the co-main event. I believe Manny Sanchez, I'm not sure if he was a former champion for sure, but he's definitely fought for the champion. He's fought for the championship a couple times, got a couple tough losses to Pitbull. It is, sorry, I guess Teams just acted wonky for me. I don't know what's next for him, Mark, because a lot of people are calling for the lightweight championship matchup.
Yeah, that's kind of, I was going to say, that's kind of what AJ was talking about. That's what he was talking about before the fight happened. He's like, I'm going to beat him, and then people are going to think it's a fluke, and I'm going to beat him at lightweight, which, we didn't really mention. Pitbull's a dual champion at 145 and 55. So I think, and why wouldn't AJ want that? Why? You just, especially after how the fight turned out, he just basically walked right through him. So why not rematch for another belt? Now you're a dual champion. And I think the question for me is, if AJ is able to win that fight, where does he go from there? Like, is he going to stick around in Bellator? I think Scott Coker said after the fact that, like, he knows that he has a potential start here. Like, he knows AJ's drawing power.
Yeah, AJ said he wants money already. AJ says, I got to get paid now.
Yeah, and, I mean, and look, Bellator pays guys. You know, it's not like they don't have a pocketbook. You know, they've gotten big names before, but it's really going to be, you know, are they going to be able to keep AJ happy while knowing that he's not going to get quite the same level of respect that he would if he, you know, joined the UFC and fought those guys and was able to capture a belt there. So I think the next fight's fairly obvious. I think Pitbull would also want that fight, you know, to be able to redeem himself. And maybe, you know, I don't follow Bellator enough to know how 145 weight cut is for the smaller Pitbull. And if 155 would be an easier cut, maybe he performs a little bit better. Who knows?
I thought he went up to 155 just to beat Michael Chandler's ass. Like, Michael Chandler was, I guess there was some sort of feud with the Pitbull brothers and Chandler. And, well, we got to send the good one up to beat up Michael Chandler, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe that's the case.
Speaking of him challenging Pitbull for the 155 title, so was this tournament just a one-time thing, or is Bellator going back fully to the tournament system? Like, would he have to go through the tournament to fight Pitbull at the end?
I think if they announce another tournament, but it sounds like the way they've been doing tournaments is the champion is defending the belt in the tournament, which is, again, Mark pointed out, that's real grueling. I remember Rory was doing that when he was in Bellator. He was the welterweight champion, Rory, I believe. Makes sense. He's welterweight. So I don't know. I mean, that was the only thing when it came out of this. I'm just like, man, he's got to have somebody to fight. And if they're going to do the immediate rematch, you almost hope like we saw more out of Pitbull for the purpose of selling it. You're like, well, he's going to fight the guy he iced in a minute and a half again, immediately. But he's only 26 years old too. So they got time with him. Scott Coker was on his bullshit, saying that he wants the UFC to do a cross promotional fight, which I feel we talked about this last week. We're like, that's not going to happen, man. We talked about that forbidden door in wrestling, Mike.
Yeah, I mean,
it's locked up in MMA.
Yeah, they do this quite a bit. And I mean, there's some validity to like UFC fighters being, you know, I'm putting air quotes here, independent contractors. And in a clause like that, you should be able to fight for other promotions. But I think what would be the really baller thing is if Bellator, PFL, who else, like maybe Ryzen or ONE FC, if all the smaller ones got together, band together, because I think what they all lack is they don't have a roster quite deep enough to really pull off like a big pay-per-view event. But I think if you did like a cross-promotional 4 leagues, did a tournament, a one-night tournament, that could be something that like I think a lot of the fans would be interested in. And I think after that, after you have a big tournament like that, whoever wins, you can kind of say like, look we all have confidence in our fighters and we all put them in here. Like, where's the UFC? Why won't they? And you can try to egg them that way, but it's not going to happen.
It really does remind me of what's happening in wrestling right now, where every other promotion, you're not paying attention to this, I know, Marcus, but like, everybody's just going everywhere now. Even though like if you're in AEW, you go work in New Japan. If you're in New Japan, you go work in Impact. Everybody's working everywhere now. It's very interesting, quite frankly, except for no one goes to WWE. I like that idea. I just almost think like we're about 5 years too late with the talent consolidation of the UFC. Sure. That's why the UFC's got 75 cards a year with, filling this up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we got to see. I mean, I don't know who's the champion at 145 in Ryzen. How big is Horiguchi somehow fighting at 145 in Japan? Or
There's no way he's fighting at 145.
He fought Darian Caldwell. Was that 135?
Well, Horiguchi normally fought at 125.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
It's really hard to believe.
Well, didn't Darian Caldwell just lose to AJ McKee? He's the one who got guillotined. So I don't know. Maybe Caldwell fights.
Because Ryzen and Bellator have been doing cross promotion.
Yeah,
and they've both been sending guys back and forth. I'm not totally sure who the
Yutaka Saito is their featherweight champion.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
So I guess we'll see. Eric Albarracin, Pitbull's coach, a hell of an MMA coach, by the way. Also Cejudo's coach, knows how to make champions. He said they wanted a rematch to be in Brazil. And he's like, and I was just like, cool. Do you not check the news? Because it's not a good place to be right now, is Brazil. He's like, we had to travel 36 hours to be in this fight. It's like, well, you're fighting for an American promotion, buddy. Tough titties. What do you want me to do for you? And Bellator's never been to Brazil, actually. Not once. So it's interesting.
Well, they're not going to be going right now during I'm assuming Brazil is not doing too hot with the Delta variant itself. One more thing before we close out AJ McKee. He went to a semi-famous high school, apparently. He went to Long Beach Polytechnic High School with such notable alumni as Chase Utley, Cameron Diaz, and Snoop Dogg.
Deshaun Jackson went to to Long Beach Poly. It's quite a school. That's a big one over there. It's very popular. All right, Marcus, you're the only one who saw Uriah Hall lose to Sean Strickland.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Yeah,
I saw it as well, kind of.
Oh, you guys did? Okay. Well, Marcus, what happened?
Well, I saw it. I saw by the second round. Oh, this is really boring. And then I went back to my beer.
All right, I'm gonna go look up Sean Strickland's nutty quotes about killing people. So you go ahead, Mark.
I just like the picture I have in my head of Mike watching this fight, and he's like, "I'm gonna go to my beer," and for 20 minutes he just stares at a can of beer as he slowly nurses it, and this is more entertaining to him. I actually really enjoyed this fight. I kind of mentioned last week. I know I've seen Sean Strickland fight. Actually, watching this fight, it reminded me I have seen this guy fight. But he has a really unique style, and I really liked. There was some ebbs and flows in this fight, and first and foremost, what I liked about what Strickland did was he made this a boxing match. First thing, he walked right into the center. He got right in the pocket of Uriah Hall, and he's like, "Dude, you're boxing me because I'm jabbing you in the face right now." And Uriah Hall kind of obliged him. It was kind of a boxing match that first round, and even halfway through the first round, the booth was like, Uriah Hall has a lot of kicks in his arsenal. To not be utilizing this and to just be boxing this guy who's clearly the better boxer. Strickland had a mean jab in that first round. He's kind of doing himself a disservice. What I liked in this fight was the mental games that Uriah Hall had to go through, because we know this guy is I think his biggest problem is his mental game, how he can get kind of frustrated and not be able to lift himself back up. And we have seen in some of his past fights him be able to do that, for him to kind of be down in a fight and to turn it around. And the coach really, the corner did a really good job trying to psych him up, trying to tell him, like, you can win this fight. You're just doing the wrong things to win this fight. And Uriah Hall would make these small adjustments. In the second round, he came out using more kicks, because he landed some good kicks in the first. The corner recognized that and told him, like, look, you have to change how you're addressing this fight. And Uriah Hall did. But what Sean Strickland did really well was once he started utilizing more tools, going to the body, using kicks better, Strickland started using more of a grappling game. He started initiating some shots, getting him up against the cage and roughing him up that way. And he was constantly trying to wear on Uriah Hall physically and mentally, just trying to break him. And we saw these moments where Hall would kind of be able to get back up. He would kind of take some shots. He'd go back to the corner. The corner would be able to tell him the small adjustments he'd make. Uriah Hall would make those adjustments, and then Strickland would make further adjustments himself to kind of get the fight back in his game. And obviously, throughout the fight, it was Strickland. Going into the fifth round, he had won all the rounds. Where, some of them were more competitive, but, Strickland, what I learned is that, one, he's a great boxer. He's really good in the pocket. He has a fantastic jab that I think he hurt. I didn't really look at any injury reports after, but I think he hurt his orbital early in the fight.
That's what Strickland thinks. He thinks he broke his orbital.
Yeah, because it was bothering Uriah Hall. You can see him constantly kind of, batting at his eye. His eyes just swell up.
I think you talked about his problems, Uriah Hall. I feel people have somehow labeled that, tucked that under not being tough, which is, I feel Uriah Hall is extremely tough because, if he fought with a broken orbital, that's what Sean Strickland was saying. He's like, if I broke that man's orbital and he finished the fight, that's tough as hell. And we also saw this man finish a fight with a bone sticking out of his fucking toe once. So
yeah, it's not so much that Uriah Hall isn't tough. He is definitely tough. I think what is so hard for us on the outside to kind of understand is like the poker face all these fighters put on, because we just think like, oh, they're getting punched in the face, but like this dude's not wincing, he's not crying like we would be if we got kicked in the leg or we got punched in the face. Like, all these guys have really good poker faces, and I think Uriah Hall doesn't quite have that. Like, when he gets hurt, you can kind of tell either in his facial expressions or his body language. And I think for a lot of fighters, that's something that they're all really good at, that for us common folk, we just play off as like, oh, they're just tough or whatever. But like, there's a strong mental game into getting decked in the fucking face, feeling that pain in your body and your legs, and playing it off like you're okay, because you have to, right? Because if you start showing weakness, not only does it tell your opponent like, oh, his legs hurt, his body's hurt, his face hurts, it gives them energy. When you're in a fight and the other dude looks hurt, you're like, I got this guy. The adrenaline starts pumping because it's like, I hurt this guy. I can win this fight. I can beat him right now. Like, Boss says, you get wings. Like, when you hurt a guy, you get wings, and it's like, okay, I can push through. Even if I'm tired, this dude's hurt, and it gives you that adrenaline boost. And Strickland definitely played off that. You can tell multiple times he hurt Uriah Hall in the eye. He was wearing on him with the ground and pound. So for me, this was a really good look for Strickland. It really showed me what he's capable of. He's a really good boxer. He's got a great jab. His grappling game is a little iffy, especially when it comes to taking guys down. He definitely struggled there. And then even on top, he didn't really do a ton.
Hall doesn't have bad takedown defense either. Hall's whole career has been trying to avoid getting taken down.
It's true. In the third round, he got taken down hard. Strickland kind of landed a shot to the back of the ear that kind of hurt Uriah, and then he slammed him down with a trip takedown. But Hall was able to get back up. I think Hall asserted himself fairly well, but he still has the issues that we kind of know of. Like, mentally, he really has to fight through. Like, you see in the corner is constantly trying to build him up, because you can see, like, he gets kind of down on himself when he's not doing well, when he's hurt. And he pushed through. He asserted himself well. He just couldn't do enough, and Strickland was able to assert.
With Uriah Hall, you almost want him to realize how good he is at times. Like, this is a real specific example, but there used to be a basketball player on the Golden State Warriors called Harrison Barnes. And we all said, man, if Harrison Barnes had so-and-so's confidence, he'd be a fucking all-star. He'd be incredible. Some guys, man, they don't know how great they are. They're one of those. He's one of those guys, I always think. Like, and it's not that he hasn't had a good career. Man's a top 10 middleweight in the toughest fighting organization in the world, and he's got a laundry list of knockout KOs. But we all think he can be champion. You know what I mean? We all think the tools are there for, like, why can't he be Israel Adesanya? You know what I mean? Or, like, close to him. You know what I mean? Like, that level of striker. Why can't he be that? Let's talk about Sean Strickland for a moment, Mike. So there's Sean Strickland after the fight said, if he wasn't, if he hadn't made into UFC, he'd probably be, quote, cooking meth in a trailer, unquote. In reality, Strickland said, he's never actually used drugs. I'm just quoting MMA Fighting now. But he knows he has an addictive personality, as evidenced by his self-confessed love for pornography. Quote, are you kidding me? Strickland responded when asked about his addiction to adult content. I'm a man in the UFC. That's everyone's problem. Which I really feel was a way it was all the other guys in the UFC are like, hey man, that's a you issue. It's not all of us. And he also talked about how much he fucking loves to hurt people. I would love nothing more than to kill somebody in the ring. Nothing more. It'd make me super happy. I would own that shit too. I don't know if it would make me liable. I might have to say I'm sorry if the cops came, but I would own that shit. Own it. Be a psychopath. It's fucking fun. He also noted that he probably is not the fighter the UFC would want as champion.
And to that point about he would love to kill someone in the ring, a funny tweet I saw yesterday was said, based off his work on Saturday, you would have to be in the ring for about 2 days for him to finally kill you.
So yeah, well, he was ranked 12. I believe Hall was ranked 8. So let's get him a top 10 opponent again. Someone closer to 7, 6 maybe. So
I feel like we always like individualism and, athletes letting us know what their personalities are like. This is one of those cases. Give us the canned answers, because you scare us. You are legitimately scaring people with what you say, sir. Because we actually believe you.
Yeah. Oh man, Sam Alvey got another fight. God bless. I'm looking at the fight announcements this coming. I guess his opponent dropped out, so he didn't actually lose the most recent one. All right, some news. Let's go with the good news. We all wanted it. We've been talking about it, hinted at it for a couple of months. Marcus, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler.
Yeah, what a fight. I mean, It's exactly what, when Chandler jumped into the scene, him and Gaethje fighting was, potentially a really fun matchup. We didn't really know when that was going to happen, when the stars would align, but to have it now is great. Chandler just came off that loss. What was Gaethje's last fight? Was it Habib?
I think it was Habib. He was the one who got the short end of the stick when everybody was getting matched up, and we're all like, so Justin Gaethje's just at home? That was basically it.
But this is a great fight. You know, both guys like to stand and bang. Both are wrestlers, so you don't really see one of them being able to utilize that super well. So it's like you're just going to stand up and strike.
This is going to be a chaotic fight. The way these two guys fight, it's going to be nuts. It's very Gilbert Melendez versus Eddie Alvarez. We're going to sort out some
better than that. But...
We're going to sort out some Bellator versus World Series of Fighting shit here, folks. That's what we're going to do in this card. On the bad news, we booked a fake heavyweight title fight for this weekend because we had to get a main event because we can't promote the greatest female fighter ever who was in the co-main event. And now she got COVID. Her wife got COVID. Her daughter? Her baby, not sure about daughter, but definitely a baby, got COVID too. Amanda Nunes got the Rona. We don't know if she was vaccinated or not. Per article from mid-June, she had planned on getting vaccinated, she said. So it's possible she was partially vaccinated, not vaccinated.
We can do some math here and look at statistics and make a logical conclusion.
I mean, look, plenty of people who are vaccinated have tested positive. Hopefully she's vaccinated.
I would not use the adjective plenty. I would say a small sliver of them have, maybe in the couple percent. So I think we're giving her a little. I mean, look. If she was planning to, we don't know if she had one shot and she was waiting for the other shot or whatever. But
we're hoping.
This is what look,
man,
we're all slapping masks back on because people aren't getting vaccinated when they should, and now we have the greatest female fighter is at the very least missing this matchup when it should happen. I don't know how she's doing with it. I hope it's very mild.
Did they say she was symptomatic? I didn't see symptomatic. They say she was symptomatic.
I don't know. It seems like we've heard a lot of fighters get it, and we don't really hear much about it until later. I think Cody Garbrandt was like, "Yeah, that shit fucked me up bad," and then other people are just like, maybe mild flu symptoms for a couple weeks. You don't really know how it's going to affect somebody. So I'm hoping it doesn't affect her much because we do have a generational talent here that potentially could be hampered because of something that they could have greatly reduce the chances of happening. And that's what makes it frustrating for me. But I do hope, especially, the baby is okay. There's not really much choice they have. But I hope the whole family's okay, obviously. But, a small child, it could be troublesome. But hopefully everyone's okay. Hopefully we get Amanda Nunes and Julia Pena? No.
Juliana Pena.
We get that fight fairly soon. They can rebook it. It does hurt this card, which kind of, needed the gusto because we have a fake heavyweight fight, but we'll get into that in a second. But I was a little disappointed.
Too much on symptoms for Amanda Nunes on
hopefully it's mild
news articles.
But you don't know if it was bad. I don't think she'd be saying much either. So fingers crossed. Of course, anyone that's affected by this horrible disease, we wish quick recovery and very mild symptoms, if nothing at all. But it's just at this point where she's in the States now, right? She's living in the States. So you have to imagine.
Yeah, I was just mostly wondering if Colby Covington is still training at American Top Team. Just gonna ask that question. I don't think so, right? They threw him out of the gym. Or
pretty sure
is Jorge Masvidal vaccinated? I'm just lining up the Trump supporters, buddy. What's happening over there? Yeah, I wish the best to the Lioness. Also, bad news: Tatiana Suarez was finally gonna come back after being gone for 2 years, and she tore her knee.
Yeah, rough break.
Out again. And we were actually going to get a contender eventually to 125 because that's what she was coming back at. It would have been. I'm sure Valentina's like, fuck, they're going to give me somebody to fight, actually. What the hell? Some fight announcements I think also happened this week. Nothing that giant besides. I think I saw Kevin Lee is coming in a few weeks. I like Corey Anderson, Ryan Bader for October 16th, and Nemkov versus Rumble Johnson. That's a big Bellator card right there. Yeah, Nemkov versus Rumble's interesting, real interesting. Because I don't care how good you are, how good and young you are. If Rumble hits you in the face, the whole situation has changed entirely. I think Corey Anderson is going to get knocked out by Ryan Bader. Honestly. In my head, Mark, he can't get Ryan Bader down and he gets knocked out. Just early guess.
Possible. Bader was on a streak, so we'll see if he can kind of get it going again. But that light heavyweight tournament was fantastic. Just the players they have. What? Romero dropped, right? He couldn't do his fight. He was supposed to fight Johnson,
did
right?
He get something happened to Romero? He was going to fight Rumble. And then like, that's.
But otherwise, just top to bottom, just like killers all around. And now
If
we're in
Rumble,
the
if Rumble
semifinals.
if Rumble loses, book that fight with Romero again. Let's.
Yeah,
now that, if he's out of the tournament, let's do that.
I mean, dude's.
I mean, that's what we wanted.
46 or something now. Like, I just don't know how much. That was
the one where Scott Coker got all this criticism for making these tournaments and like hoping the fight would come together that he wanted. And that one, he's like, "Fuck it, we're gonna lead off with Rumble versus Romero," and then Romero got hurt. So
that's just how it goes.
Walt Harris, Tai Tuivasa, booked for October 23rd.
Interesting. Did Harris? I thought Harris was
again.
like on a two loss streak, right? So it's weird because Ty just had a huge win. You know, he beat Greg Hardy. It was a fantastic moment. I would have thought they would have paired him up with someone that was on the the higher trajectory, but that's still an interesting fight. I mean, Walt Harris and Ty are just going to swing. You know, it's going to be a one rounder for sure. But yeah, fun matchup.
Walt Harris, he's the one that the UFC has, used up his emotional story.
I mean, they didn't use it up. In fairness, they offered a bunch of money to for information when his stepdaughter got kidnapped and then murdered. Like, they actually were very much behind him when that happened.
Okay.
I'm not sure it was that exploitive. I mean, at the end, it kind of, if you look, but this last time, I was like, okay, that's a bit much. What's that noise? I'm getting big windy noise.
Mike's got the flying saucer going right now.
Yeah, what the hell's that?
It got really hot in my room, so I have to turn off the AC.
You got to mute between talking then, because it got a little drafty on the mic too. Usman and Covington. I'm not sure if that was official at the time, but November 6th, Madison Square Garden, or it says New York. I'm just assuming Madison Square Garden because that's where we're going to do anything. Well, they've done Barclays.
I know, but that's just because they couldn't get into Madison right then, right?
No, they did Barclays because all the Russians are in Brooklyn, right? Isn't that a thing? Am I just making a generalization, Mike? Tag in here.
You're not wrong that there's a lot of Russians.
I mean, that's
Brooklyn,
why they put Khabib in that card. That's what I'm thinking.
But it's the different part of Brooklyn. You got to go more to like Brighton Beach to get yourself some Ruskies.
Yeah. Okay. And it sounds like with all the COVID on the rise, Bellator might have to shift some of these cards from Russia and Europe. They have London and Russia, which I'm not sure if Fedor is going to be fighting anybody if they ask him to come all the way over here. Anyway, so we'll see. All right, let's make a couple picks for this pay-per-view.
Yes, sir.
We're going to miss this one, Mike. I was just thinking about that.
I mean, will you really miss it?
Well, we could always just huddle over a little cell phone, during a wedding.
That's exactly it. I'm gonna sneak into a room somewhere. This is definitely the card where I want to do that. I remember I was at a wedding when Michael Bisping won his championship, and I was like, man, of all of us to miss this card, I'm the one who's been on this fucking dude's bandwagon the whole time. It was also the card where they threatened to end Ariel's career. UFC. Proud moments all around. All right. UFC 265. Fun fact, it was Bellator 263 this last week. So we almost lined that shit up pretty well. Yeah, catching up. Well, that was 265 pay-per-views. We're at about 750 UFC events, I think, at least.
Yeah.
Coming to you from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. I have stayed at the hotel attached to the Toyota Center. It's just a really red arena is what's happening in the Toyota Center. The Rockets.
All right.
Yeah.
Like the Ruskies.
Yeah. Hometown boy, Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, taking on Ciryl Gane. Mike, mute yourself, please. The co-main event is not Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Mike's laughing, but he's got a fucking wind tunnel going on in his apartment. Instead, we got a co-main event of Jose Aldo, Pedro Munoz. We got welterweight matchup, Michael Chiesa and Vicente Luque. Well, I didn't even know it was happening until this minute, and I got very excited, Mark. That sounds like a banger. Tisha Torres, Angela Hill also happening. And curtain jerking, Song Yadong, Casey Kenny. We're not picking that fight. Also on this card, Bobby Green, who I feel fights every 2 months, and I'm proud of him getting in the cage as often as he is. It's nice to see Bobby Green still cashing checks. Ed Herman's still in the UFC. Yep. Shout out, man. Shout out.
At light heavyweight now, right? Or do you go back to middleweight?
Is that looks like a light heavyweight? Is that a tough 2? Is that tough 2 or tough 3?
Three.
Tough 3? Do we have any tough 2 guys in the house anymore? Tough 2 was so. We had a tough 1 guy until Diego lost his fucking mind with that guy.
Who's in what was tough 2?
Tough 2 was Rashad. Was heavyweight with Rashad winning, and then welterweight. I think Joe Stevenson won. Right,
Bobby Southworth was in that season, right?
That was season 1.
He was in first. Yeah,
that was with Koscheck and stuff. Rashad is making a comeback. He wants to box. I missed the other piece of news. Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley is going to be $60. And they actually loaded up the undercard with real boxing fights of actual prospects. Apparently, people are saying, which is commendable, but ain't nobody paying $60 for that thing. So, Karolina Kovalkiewicz, Jessica Penne on the undercard. There's some fights that are interesting, honestly, on this, guys. It's just that the top part really needed Amanda's fight. Even with this heavyweight title.
To be fair, as critical as we were, this main card is not bad. These are fun, interesting matchups.
It's missing a cherry. It's missing the cherry on top of this thing.
Exactly. Having a interim heavyweight title, and especially the guys that are fighting for it too. I mean, I think Derrick Lewis is a fun fighter, and Gane has definitely proven himself. But it's just missing that authenticity, I guess, and not having another title fight. It's it's a great card, but it's I don't know if I want to pay for it. That's kind of what I feel.
Mike, we got Stefan's picks too, right?
I believe he sent them across earlier today. Yeah.
Okay, so when I ask you, please mention them as well. All right, we're gonna talk about the heavyweight title fight. I keep calling it the fake heavyweight title fight because it is. This is one of the more questionable reasons for an interim title fight ever. It is stupid as hell. Honestly, Ciryl Gane is a -4 fucking 100 favorite, Mark.
Depending on who you look at, but by most accounts, it's in the 350s to 400 favorite mark, which I don't think is that bad, to be honest. I don't think that's super off. I think technically this is going to be a tough fight for Lewis.
I think the betting community is picking a not so interesting fight, possibly. Maybe Gane's going to just jab him for 25 minutes. Derrick Lewis is coming. Yeah, Derrick Lewis is coming off of 4 straight wins. Wins over Blagoy Ivanov, Ilar Latifi, Alexei Olenek, and Curtis Blades. I like this build-up. It went from split decision win, TKO, and KO. He's just getting more powerful. All right. The next one is going to be, he's going to win by murder, death, kill right there. That's what's going to happen. He's just going to end this motherfucker this time. Shout out to Nick Cage, Mike. You never forget Nick Gage. MDK all day. Ciryl Gane ain't lost a fight. There's only been 9 of them fucking things, but he has not lost a fight. He is 9-0. Decision Volkov, decision Biggie Boy, knocked out Junior Dos Santos with a elbow. A lot of decisions. Couple submission victories in the UFC too. Showed up at 3-0. Really tells you how bereft of young talent this weight class is when a 3-0 Frenchman just gets into UFC. But it's paid off with this gentleman. He's also got a Muay Thai record of 13-0. This man ain't never lost anything. That's right. 9 wins, 3 by knockout, 3 submission, 3 decisions. Marcus? First off, Mike, Stefan's picking Gane, right?
Stefan is indeed picking Gane.
Marcus?
Yeah, I'm picking Gane too. I think, on paper, this should be, a fairly easy fight for him to win. I think when you look at his recent competition, especially with Biggie Boy, you had another guy who's a big power striker, and he was able to, out-technique him. And I think when we look at Derrick Lewis, he's probably an even less polished striker than Biggie Boy. Though, what I will give Lewis credit for, which I think everyone would, is that he has a ton of power and a huge heart. So I think this is a fight that's very likely to go the distance. I don't see Gane finishing him, although I think it's possible. But I do see him staying on the outside, utilizing the jab, utilizing kicks, not letting Derrick Lewis kind of make this a brawl where he potentially could land that big shot. But we saw when Derrick Lewis fought Alexander that, it's not over until it is over for this guy. 10 seconds left in a 5-round fight. He can still, get it done and, turn the whole fight around. That's a big call for him. That's a big ask for him to do against someone who is, I think, even more technically skilled than Alexander was. So I do see Gane winning this fight. I think he's going to do it tactfully, because I think what we saw in the Biggie Boy fight too is that when he is able to just be the better striker, he also doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, he was able to utilize his tools, and he never took those unnecessary risks that would give a fighter like Biggie Boy or potentially like Derrick Lewis the opportunity to turn it around with a big strike. He's going to, mind his P's and Q's. He's going to keep his defense up. He's going to keep distance where he needs it. He's going to strike where Derrick is vulnerable. And, you look at other aspects of the fight, stamina, cardio. These are things that Derrick has actually done really good getting better at. But I think in a fight like this, unless he can really push the pace, unless he's going to be the aggressor, going forward, getting to clinch positions, trying to utilize his weight to wear on Gane, I just don't see him win this fight. So I think Gane's going to win this fight. And I do think it's going to be a technical showcase. It's probably not going to be the most exciting thing, but it's just, he's a tough nut to crack, and I don't see Derrick cracking it.
Mike, how far behind you am I now? Because
you are 2 games behind.
I'm the only one to pick Pitbull, right? You guys all picked McKee, right?
Yep.
And we all picked Uriah Hall.
We all picked Uriah Hall.
Yeah. Okay. I think the line, given what we've seen from Derrick Lewis, it's weird to put it like this, but this man has pulled so many fights, like, against more technical people out of his ass. Like, he was a plus 250 against Blades, and he killed him, knocked him clean out. I think the line's a little wonky. I think if you're going to be that big of an underdog, honestly, Mark, it would be shocking for the man to win when you're plus 300. I don't think it'd be shocking. I don't think it's shocking when Derrick Lewis knocks anybody out. That being said,
Agreed.
I am picking Ciryl Gane here, because I've taken all this time to learn the man say his name correctly after all these fights. Honestly, he's young. He's talented. I think he's going to get a very technical performance out of this. That being said, I want Derrick Lewis to win. I want Derrick Lewis to win, and these fucking people in Houston will lose their goddamn minds. Derrick Lewis is a star. Sure. When they show him in the crowd, he's a big fucking deal. Swanging and banging, Derrick Lewis, Black Beast in this hoe. All right? That's what I want to see. I want Derrick Lewis to knock him out, hump the cage, hump the mat, do his thing, and at least they can promote the fact that he beat Francis Ngannou. Because Ciryl Gane's going to die if he fights Francis Ngannou. That fight is not even close. Not that I think Derrick Lewis is going to win, but at least you can promote it. Because, again, he beat him. I was there. It was terrible. I lost money on it. It was miserable. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, it's going to be a clean sweep. It's going to be Gane. I think that with Derrick Lewis, as you said, he's had a penchant of somehow beating people with a better striking pedigree than him.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's a better striking pedigree than him. And he wins by knockout. It's incredible.
I think eventually, that's going to catch up with him. He won't be able to get that knockout. And I think this might be one of those fights. I would like to see him win, but I think if he does, it's going to be how he normally would win, where he's able to touch the guy. And if that were to happen, it would probably be late in the 3rd round. And
late in the 5th round.
Oh, shit. Yeah, this is a 5-round fight. I don't see that happening. I see Gane being able to actually, stay away from him, keep the distance, and eventually get the victory.
Has Derrick Lewis, he's fought in a lot of main events. Has he ever been that? Derrick Lewis Derrick Lewis hasn't seen the 4th round since Mark Hunt. That was a fun fight.
And he got knocked out in that fight.
That was a fun fight. I miss Mark Hunt. I know we got Tai Tuivasa, which is like the Wish version of Mark Hunt. Sorry, Ty. You're just not as technical. I'm interested in this could be a bit of a jab fest if Derrick Lewis doesn't win. Even if Derrick Lewis does win, it might take some time. So, but yeah, if we're promoting Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane and still no John Jones in 4 months, great. Way to go, UFC. A+ promotion. Co-main event. Jose Aldo, Pedro Munoz. I got very little analysis about this one. Jose Aldo coming off of beating up Marlon Vera. I think he won 2 out of 3 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Pedro Munoz coming off of beating up Jimmy Rivera. Don't remember how that went exactly. Betting odds for this one, Mark?
Yeah, we got Aldo is the slight favorite, around 125, 120. Pedro, the slight underdog, like basically almost even at 100, 105. It varies a little bit, but yeah.
Minus or
pretty
plus?
close line. Plus.
Plus, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm Stefan's got Aldo. Mike? Okay,
He
this
shakes
is
his
audio,
head. Yeah,
this is
sorry.
it's an audio medium.
I couldn't find my mute button. I'm sorry. Yes, he has Aldo.
Yeah, okay, I'm taking Aldo. I like 3-round Aldo. 3-round Aldo wins fights. Except for that one he didn't win, but we still gave him a title shot. Mark, who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely leaning Aldo, but to make it interesting, and I do think this is really close, I'll go with Pedro. I'll mix it up here a little bit. I think they've both had their ups and downs. I agree. Aldo, I think in 3 rounds he's definitely added some tools to his game, especially that liver shot. I think has really become something that he's utilizing fairly well in his fights. But I'm gonna go with Pedro. Pedro's a tough out too. I think this is going to be a really difficult fight for both fighters. I think they're both pretty technical. I think Pedro's a little tougher, a little meaner, a little more of a bully in there. But Jose is very technical, and again, once he gets his striking really going, he can be really dangerous. So I think it is a really close fight as the line shows. But I'm gonna go for Pedro just to make it fun.
Good for you for making it fun, Mark, because I was definitely going to pick Aldo. So at least now, someone is giving Munoz some love.
There you go.
You're muted now, Bobby.
I got a dog shaking every 3 seconds. People can hear that in the background. She wants to get out. But if I let her out and I close the door, then she's going to want to get back in. I know how this game is played.
She's looking very anxiously at the door, like, when is this motherfucker going to finish? Now he's looking at you like, you little bitch, come on, let's go for this walk.
We already went for a walk. She just hears my brother out. That's what it is. He's around, and that's what it takes. All right. This is awesome, this fight. Straight up. Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque. I am all about this shit. Chiesa, since moving up to welterweight, has been excellent. 4-0, 1 finish, got a Kimura on Carlos Condit, 3 decisions over Diego Sanchez, Rafael Dos Anjos, Neil Magny. Those last 2 are nothing to sneeze at these days, man. Especially Neil Magny. Vicente Luque, honestly one of my favorite fighters to watch. Coming off of, since losing to Wonderboy Thompson, 3 straight finishes. Nico Price, Randy Brown, Woodley. Woodley was the one where it just turned into a fucking firefight. Where Woodley's like, I'm going out in my goddamn shield. And he got choked with a Bravo choke at the end after getting dropped. Forgot what Vicente got him with. Do you remember, Marcus?
Yeah, it says here a Bravo choke.
No, he dropped him with it.
What he hurt him with?
Because they were just throwing heat. Vicente
was Woodley definitely took the criticism of him not pulling the trigger, and then just unloaded.
Honestly, that fight is why I have a little bit of I have some hope for him fighting in a boxing match. I'm like, okay, he still can throw. His hands still throw. It still
didn't work. But
he hit him. He was hitting him.
But at the end of the day, he still got a loss. He fought a little bit, but it was a fun fight. It was the Woodley we wanted to see. I really wanted. We all talked about it. We all wanted Covington versus Chiesa. We all thought it was really cool when Chiesa called out Covington. We thought it'd be a really good matchup, just given their skill sets. Turns out Covington gets a title shot for no reason. Betting odds for this one. Yeah, another pretty close fight. Chiesa is the slight underdog. I mean, really, like much like Pedro, like 105, just a little bit over plus 100. And Luque is the slight favorite, around 125 or so.
Who's Stefan got, Mike?
Stefan has Chiesa, the slight underdog in this fight.
I'm taking Chiesa too, partly because this is a coin flip anyway. I think he can determine. I think he can get Vicente with his patented rear naked choke. Let me start with that. And I'm really enjoying him at 170 pounds. He doesn't seem undersized at all, and he's already up to number 5. Is he 5? Was he really that highly ranked, or am I reading this wrong? Someone help me out.
If he has 3 wins in a row at welterweight, and
4 actually,
4 in a row, and the guys he's fought are pretty notable. That's not that hard to believe.
Let me make sure I'm talking about 5. He's number 5. Luque's number 6. I love this fight so much. I am all about this Chiesa's run here at 170, and it's not that Luque isn't capable of getting to the top either. It's just this man hasn't lost at 170. So let's see let's just keep this train going. So I got Chiesa. Mark?
Yeah, I'm gonna make it interesting. I do think Chiesa is a difficult matchup for him, especially when I think by submission is an interesting call. Luque has only lost twice by submission, but I'm looking through his record and it's like he's not fighting a lot of like guys that are known for their submission game. So I think that's an interesting call. I'm gonna go with Luque, playing the odds and honestly just kind of again making it fun. On a lot of these close matchups, a lot of times we kind of end up hedging the same way and then we look foolish the next week. Of course, we're not going to be here next week, most likely. So this would be a good card to make some foolish picks. So I'm still going to go with Lupe in here. He's a fun fighter. It is going to be tough. I mean, I agree with you. Chiesa has just looked so good at 170. It looks like he's gotten a lot of confidence. It's going to be tough to stop.
Do you know what I like about Chiesa? He's got no knockouts, 0, right? Not one of this dude's. Does he have any wins by knockout?
No, you're right. You're right.
No.
He's only lost once by knockout. Never gotten it.
He doesn't have boring fights. The fights aren't boring. That's a man with an active grappling attack. An active goddamn grappling attack. I appreciate it. Mike?
Yeah, I will be joining Mark, making it interesting. I'm going to pick Luque as well. Chiesa has looked great since he moved up to 170.
We're making it interesting when both of you guys are picking the favorite. It's great.
Well, I thought I was going to be the only one picking Luque for some reason.
Mike, if you would have gone before me, you might have been. I was thinking I was going to go with Michael, so I was like, let me switch it up. But here we are.
Chiesa is one of those examples, and I think it's becoming a trend now over the last few years where, before people thought you had to cut as much weight as possible. And now we've seen with, a few different fighters, Robert Whittaker most notably winning the championship, who have decided to not cut so much weight and have actually seen great dividends at their higher weight class. But with that said, Vicente Luque, he has a decision every morning when he wakes up, and in that decision, he chooses violence. And that's how he approaches all of his fights. I think that this will be a good fight. Chiesa will give him some challenges, but I see Luque fighting for a championship within the next year. So with that said,
he doesn't get enough credit.
It'd be kind of hard for him not to fight for a championship if he doesn't win this fight.
He doesn't get enough credit, honestly, because he got into the UFC at 6-4-1, right? He is 27-1. He's 14-3. Those losses are Wonder Boy, Leon Edwards, and when he lost the Ultimate Fighter finale to a guy named Michael Graves. Man's very good. Is he that old even? 29 years old. Yeah, I think you might be right, Mike. When you can see this man fighting for a belt, it'd be really cool to see.
Michael Graves, I don't even remember, and I think besides the tough finale, I don't remember any other fights Michael Graves was in.
Yeah, I actually liked him too. I thought maybe there'd be something there because I remember I saw the first couple. It was the Black Zillions versus Top Team Tough, and I actually thought it was a kind of cool concept. But it looks like he only got a handful of fights in the UFC. They cut this dude off of a draw. He left the UFC undefeated. 6-0-1. Okay, that seems interesting. Seems real interesting. Okay. Tisha Torres, Angela Hill. They fought a while ago. They fought in 2015 at UFC 188 in Mexico City. Tisha won a decision. Since then, they've both been back and forth. Angela was a champion and Invicta at one point in the middle there. Betting odds for this one.
Yeah, not too crazy either. Angela Hill is the slight underdog, around 110, 115. Tisha Torres the favorite, around 140, 135. So again, pretty close odds, but Tisha's the favorite. Angela Hill's the underdog.
Mike, who does Stefan have?
Stefan has Tisha Torres.
Who do you have?
I'm going with Angela Hill, and this is for two reasons. One, she should be, in my opinion, on a pretty lengthy winning streak. I feel like the last 2 or 3 losses that she has had have been close decisions, and in my opinion, they have been decisions that I thought she won. And normally, when fighters, bitch and moan about the decisions not going their way, I think, yeah, well, be quiet. But in these cases, I would agree with Angela Hill in being kind of salty about, the recent losses that she's had on her record. So I think she should be much more highly regarded with what her skill set has become in the last 2 years or so. So I think she's not getting as much hype coming into this fight as she should. And two, just personally, I like Angela Hill. One of my favorite podcasts or shows that didn't last very long was the YouTube channel with her and Jessica Panay called Two Straws. I thought it was a very entertaining show with the two of them breaking down upcoming UFC events. Sad it didn't last very long.
And if you want to support Angela Hill, you can go to her Pro Wrestling Teach website, her store, where you can buy a picture of a Goya painting that they've kind of changed to look like it's her, where it says it is bitch fucking season. So definitely every adult should wear a shirt that says bitch fucking season. I got overkill here too. I got Angela Hill. I feel she's gotten since their first fight. I think Tisha's pretty much still a good fighter, very good fighter, but Tisha is kind of what Tisha was then. I think Angela's gotten better. And I'm kind of with you, Mike. I'm not saying she should have won both of those fights, but at least one of them. I thought the Watterson one especially, to be honest. I'm going to go with Angela Hill on this. Mark, who do you got?
I do have Tisha Torres. Like you guys, I love Angela Hill. I think she's a fantastic personality for the sport. And I do think she's been making, the jumps in her game to be a lot more competitive. It did seem when she got back to the UFC, even though she had won an Invicta belt, it still wasn't working out. It seemed like in these last, 6 fights or so, she's really been able to turn things around. And like mentioned, the last 2 split decision losses she had easily could have gone the other way. And that's kind of why I'm picking Tisha Torres. Torres fights almost always go to the decision. She's basically has 17 matches. Only 2 of them she's finished by a knockout or submission. Everything else has gone to decision. And she's usually pretty good at stealing rounds. Usually on the outside, she's a little bit more active. And then on the inside, she has a pretty good clinch game. She's able to take girls down. But these are some spots where Angela's really good. Angela's footwork has gotten a lot better. She's pretty good on the outside. In the clinch, when she can get space and get a tie clinch, she's extremely deadly. So I think this is going to be a much more competitive fight than we saw last time. I'm just kind of hedging my bets with Tisha being pretty good at getting decisions, even though, she did come off a pretty lengthy streak there where she lost 4 decisions in a row. She has bounced back, won a decision. In her last fight, she actually got a doctor stoppage, which is the first in her career. So, she's been making some adjustments as well. So I'm going to go with Tisha. I've always been impressed with Tisha Torres, but if I was picking with my heart, it'd definitely be Angela Hill. Like Mike said, a really fun personality, very charismatic and fun to watch, and has gotten to be a really fun striker, and fighter in her own right. But I do have Tisha kind of hedging around in this one.
All right, I think that's all of us, right?
Yep, it's it.
Mark's making a lot of moves this one.
I'm making I'm veering from the pack, and it might just work out in my favor, or I might just be in the bottom with Steph. And then those my claims last week where I was going to come back and steal it from you and Mike because you're all competitive with each other, getting all distracted about, where's Mike at? Where's Bobby at? Oh, we're 2 away.
I'll be honest,
Mark sneaks in.
I decided with this fight, I'm picking whatever Mike picks. I'm just like, I am not confident in this one. I'm like, I don't know. This one's like, I don't trust these Angela Hill fights. They're all splits. This is bullshit. Mike's probably I picked him too. He's like we don't have to bet on this one determining anything.
Well, you went away from me on the Chiesa Luque, so
yeah. Well, I picked first on that one either, but I mean I don't know. I'm excited for that one. My excitement took away all strategy. All right. I think we're ready for stuff we like.
Yeah.
I got 2 things. One is Ted Lasso. I don't know if we talked about it at all. Mark watched Ted Lasso now too.
I think last week we did talk about it.
I just want to say everybody should watch Ted Lasso. I'm going to continue to say that. I'm all the way up to the most recent episode now. So when you get there, Mark, you're probably gonna want to wait a little bit, just because if you get used to watching a bunch at a time. That's a problem when you're watching a show like in episodes. And now I'm watching once a week, and I'm like, gotta know what's going on with fucking Roy Kent. That's my dude. I'm all about Roy Kent. Mike, you gotta get on this show. Seriously, you watch everything. If you want, I'll let you use my Apple TV login.
I mean, you say it as if I have like no stand. I don't have any standards. That's what I watch.
This is a good show.
You folded so fast.
Mike caved on
myself.
Schitt's Creek though. Mike didn't like Schitt's Creek at all.
I could see that though. I think Ted Lasso, you'll get roped in a lot quicker than Schitt's Creek. It took like a season. I was even like, I don't know if I'm on.
You know, if it takes a whole season for your show to get good, the show's not that.
Well, here's the thing. I was in on Schitt's Creek immediately. It just different people took different times. All right. Honestly, I just want to talk about wrestling because I thought last week was going to be the big wrestling talk with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and all that shit.
Well,
and let me tell you, Mike.
You say that as if, like, but yeah, we can talk about wrestling, but maybe me and Mark have some other stuff we like.
Well, I know. I'm still doing my stuff I like.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Ted Lasso. I'm sorry.
No. I said I had two things.
Oh, yeah, you did that.
You gotta be an active. I gotta be an active listener. Yeah, this is number 2. That was number 1. This is number 2. All right, folks. I thought last week when they announced CM Punk and Daniel Bryan might be coming back to wrestle was one thing. This week they drank the crazy juice over in Stamford, Mike. And they cut Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, who prints merch money while not being on TV most of the time. Bray Wyatt, who should basically be The Undertaker. Okay? They managed to fuck up 2 good gimmicks with Bray Wyatt. Well fucking done. Apparently, it was a devastating blow to locker room morale because they're like, what the fuck? You cut him? We're all up for where we can all be cut, apparently. That's what people think of Bray Wyatt. 3rd generation talent, the son of IRS himself. Which, by the way, I think if IRS came back, Mark, he might be a good guy in 2021. Give all the tax. He should just go after all the billionaires. He should just say, I'm gonna go get taxes from Bezos. I'm gonna go get taxes from Musk. Mike, you gotta watch some old IRS stuff. It was just his dad.
I remember IRS.
Yeah, he was Michael Wall Street in WCW because why change the fact that he wears a suit to the ring? Yeah, it's fucked up, man. Honestly, he's way too talented. And then we got the news in the last 24 hours where it turns out Adam Cole was working without a contract, and Adam Cole he signed an extension and he's done in 3 weeks. And I'm not sure I can properly convey to the people who don't know Being the Elite lore how big of a deal this is. But Adam Cole I think he's gone because Adam Cole's wife works for AEW or partner. I don't know, whatever they got going on.
Not just Adam Cole's wife works for AEW. Adam Cole's wife is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And for those of you that
we're doing the pointing, folks.
Podcast right now. We did the pointing.
We did the pointing. Yeah, no, his best friends are Kenny and the Young Bucks. And in Being the Elite lore, they quote unquote killed Adam Cole. He's dead in the lore of Being the Elite. And they were literally setting up a match between Kenny Omega and Adam Cole before he left for NXT. That's what we were getting to. I think he's gone, honestly. But you have the fact that he's Triple H's favorite wrestler, and he's Shawn Michaels' protege, and they're also cutting costs, though. So, Mike, what do you think? I mean, that excited me.
Well,
I think he's gone.
They're cutting costs, but they also did just cut like a big merch seller for them. So you never really know what's gonna happen.
We got to pay Goldberg.
I mean, yeah, apparently you got to pay Goldberg for his like 1 appearance a year. I selfishly don't want him to leave, and you know why. It's for the same reason why now it's Matt in the back or something for Uno on the Up Down Down channel.
As a wrestling fan, I want him to go to AEW. As someone who depends heavily on Up Down Down for my own personal entertainment, I mean, let me tell you, they let Marcus, they still have Tyler Breeze on Up Down Down, just as his government name. The second one of these dudes show up on AEW, they're not going to let him be on Up Down Down, man. That's not. They're not gonna. I know the way these motherfuckers play. They're not gonna promote.
Well,
another guy.
at least they got to play with the big Uno cards, right? They can close that.
Oh, did you see that? That was hilarious.
I watched it for like 5 minutes. I was like, okay, they're big Uno cards. They're having fun. I get it. I can't. Wait.
Mike, get some big Uno cards. Get some big Uno cards. You, me, and Phil are playing Uno. Okay, that's what's happening.
Wait, why do I gotta get them? Like,
well,
why don't you go get them?
Well, okay, I'll ship them to your house. Okay, Jesus, I'm gonna pack big Uno cards when I get through TSA. I'm Middle Eastern. I'm not gonna explain that. What? They're gonna think I'm the Joker or something. I don't know. Oh man, again, I don't know what they're doing over in WWE. All these moves make you think they're gonna sell, and I don't think they're gonna sell. But apparently, all the networks, both USA and SmackDown, both USA and Fox, were like, "Hey, we liked Bray Wyatt. People cared and watched him. What the fuck are you doing?" It's gonna be real interesting when Raw gets when Dynamite outdraws Raw 1 week. It's gonna be real interesting because they sold out fucking 12. They sold 12,000 seats in Chicago because the CM Punk might show up.
That would also be very interesting if that happened, considering Dynamite is on Wednesdays and Raw's on Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of viewers, outdrawing, not like head to head. There's no reason to go head to head.
I'm seeing giant Uno cards are $32 on Amazon. I don't think you want to do that.
You think they're cheap, Mike? They're big.
I was gonna say that seems reasonable to me. Find it strange that Peacock is sending me notifications on my phone as I'm shit talking WWE. That's what I got this week. Adam Cole going to AEW would be fucking sick. In terms of people I want on AEW, it was Adam Cole, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. You know, those are mostly Kevin Owens, but they're never letting him go. Mike, what do you got this week?
I'm seeing that Giant Connect 4 is $229 if you want to get that.
That's a lot.
I wonder how giant it is though. Like, how big is it? Is it like as big as us?
Have you played Giant Jenga?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably that big, I'm thinking.
I don't like that Mike doesn't flinch at Giant Connect 4 for 200, but then Giant Uno for 30. He's like, ooh, a little pricey for my blood. I just don't understand the logic.
It has a height of 43 inches. What is that in feet? Somebody tell me. What is it?
3
feet?
3 feet 7 inches.
All right, oh, look at you. Oh, knowing the imperial system. Ooh, big man.
I did 48 minus 5. You dumbass. Yeah, fucking dumbass.
Mathematics.
It's a very simple thing and stuff I like this week, which honestly is becoming the bane of my existence. It's Reese's peanut butter cups. I went to Dwayne Reed about a week ago, and I went in there like to get water, something very healthy.
Wait, apologize. We don't have Dwayne Reed over here, Mark. That's basically CVS.
Okay, I got you.
CVS. It's a Dwayne Reed, Walgreens. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
You go in there for assorted things. So I go in there to get some water, and I walk by the candy section, and the family pack of Reese's peanut butter cups are buy one get one half off. So
how could you not?
Exactly. Mr. Gooms can't pass up a deal. So I got 2 big ass bags, and I have been eating like 6 Reese's Pieces cups every day for like the last 12 or 13 days. And I never regret it as I'm doing it. It's great. It just melts in your mouth, and it's just finger licking good. But then you feel like absolute shit afterwards. And I'm pretty sure I've gained about an inch on my waistline in the last 2 weeks because of it.
It's not like we got to wear suits or anything this weekend.
Yeah. Like I had dinner right before this podcast, and I thought what a good dessert would be is to wolf down about 7 Reese's cups.
Someone who goes to Trader Joe's as often as you do, I'm surprised you're not getting their peanut butter cups because they're really good. You don't taste this grain of the sugar grain. You know what I mean? The granules of the sugar that we do.
The peanut butter tastes good.
You can chew on the grains of the sugar in Reese's cups.
It's a very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde stuff I like this week for me. The stuff I like is Reese's Pieces cups. The stuff I hate is my self-control.
All right. Marcus.
Yeah, I actually got a little bit of a list here, and I'm surprised. Mike can chime in on one of these because he mentioned he saw it too. But first, I'll chime in with what Bobby said. I got access to Apple TV. I don't know how. I didn't have anyone supply the login for me like has been
of all the things. That's the least shady thing we do is me giving you my login for Apple TV. What do you mean?
That's the most shady thing I do, Bob. All my other subscriptions paid
Hey, it is free if you have a PS5. Mark definitely has a PS5.
We'll get there one day, and when I get my 6 months, I'll let you borrow it, Bobby, and then we'll be even.
No, we gotta wait for you. You gotta wait till mine expires. Then we turn yours
Bobby,
on.
How easy it is to get these PS5s, that's not going to be a problem. I started watching Ted Lasso, and I really liked it, and I think it's been well received right before watching it. Outside of Steph and Bobby, that both have saw it and liked it a lot. All the other critics have basically been saying it's really good. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Mike, I would say this was pretty immediate. I think as soon as you hear the titular character Ted Lasso talk, I was like, okay, I like this guy. He just has a southern drawl that's just hard to hate. But yeah, I think I'm 4 episodes in. So I still have a bit to go before I'm caught up, but I've thoroughly been enjoying it. I also checked out the first episode of Mythic Quest, which is the kind of sitcom from Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know what his actual name is. And I only watched one episode. It's all right. It's not great. It's not horrible. As someone that, follows the game industry and devs and stuff, I think it's one of the things I thought was really interesting. Anytime you get a show like this that's supposed to be kind of showing you game development or whatever assets they get for their game, usually a lot of companies will just get a third party to make some stuff up. Mythic Quest they must have had a deal or cut a deal with Ubisoft because a lot of the footage is just from Honor. So they're showing oh, this is the Mythic Quest game. That's just for Honor. I have that game. I know what that game is. And then they reskinned Assassin's Creed, and I was I know that's Assassin's Creed. You can't fool me. Outside of that, the show in and of itself, again, 1 episode in, not super deep. I enjoyed. I think it's enjoyable. I'll probably watch some more of it. It didn't really knock my socks off. Ted Lasso, within the first episode, I was okay, this is really good. I'm definitely going to be binging. This is priority on what I'm watching on Apple TV. So yeah, can't recommend Ted Lasso enough.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I've yet to watch Apple TV on an actual device. Is the interface suck less? Does it actually have a queue? Because I can't find anything on the website.
When I use my PS4 to watch it, and the UI was fairly standard. They had a bunch of recommended stuff, so obviously Ted Lasso was up there, and I knew if I went along further enough into the new releases, I'd find Mythic Quest, and I did.
Did it roll into the next episode?
Yeah. It has the kind of
the browser does not do that.
5 seconds. Oh, yeah. Then it's good in that regard, but that's kind of standard fare for a lot of these streaming services. But yeah, I didn't have any major issues with it, so it's been all right. What I do like is they do show one ad in the beginning that you can skip, and it's usually just an advertisement for another one of their shows. So being new to it, I didn't mind seeing, a trailer for
what's that? Are you gonna watch that show, the musical show?
Yeah, that's the one they were pushing, and I was like, that looked better than when you told me about it, because I think on paper, just a comedy musical doesn't really get me all that interested. But then actually seeing it in practice and seeing some of the people that are in it, I'm like, okay, that might be interesting. So outside of that, Mike, maybe you can chime in too. I also saw Jungle Cruise. Or I should say I saw 2/3 of it. I did watch it. It was Christine's birthday on Sunday. We did some stuff in the morning. I guess I'll talk about that stuff too, even though it's kind of embarrassing. But I had a little bit of an allergy attack, so I had to take some Benadryl, and that shit knocks me out. So about 2/3 of the way, I started dozing. I'd wake up and there'd be some reveal. I was like, well, that's weird. Didn't see that coming from The Rock. I'd doze off again, and then next thing you know, it's happily ever after. But from what I did see, I enjoyed it. It's very much a live-action Disney movie. It has a lot of their comedic tropes. But I do feel, being based off the Jungle Cruise, which is a ride at Disneyland and Disney World, and a ride that I actually enjoy quite a bit, they pay homage to it, which I thought was fun. The Rock kind of gives a Jungle Cruise, and there's all this kind of malarkey going on where he's cutting bad jokes, and there's all these props set up and stuff. And I thought and that's very much what the ride kind of is. The story outside of that is nothing what is conveyed in the ride whatsoever. But I thought it was a fun little action movie. And Mike, if you had anything to chime in, you enjoyed it. You probably saw it to its completion a little bit more than I did. So maybe you could expand where I might have missed some things.
Well, I had no idea that this was based off a Disney ride. I think the last time they did that, it didn't end so well for Disney, right? Like that
Haunted
movie
Mansion?
never sees the light of day, right?
Haunted Mansion didn't do well. They also did Tomorrowland, which I
It
never
didn't?
saw. I don't
Oh,
think.
you
I
know
mean, it was
what?
Eddie Murphy.
Haunted
but-
Mansion. I think Haunted Mansion did pretty well.
I mean, I don't think it was.
I
no
didn't
pirates.
realize. I didn't
Well,
realize
Pirates is
there
like
were
6
actually
movies.
other. I didn't realize there were actually other
Yeah,
rides.
this has
based on-
been a trend.
I was thinking
for a
of
while.
Song of the South.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little. I think that became before the movie, but yeah, this has been somewhat of a trend for them, and I think they're going to do a Matterhorn movie and like a Thunder Mountain movie. They're they have these properties. They're trying to make something.
You
out
mean
of them.
Space Mountain?
I mean,
Okay.
I thought I heard Thunder Mountain was getting one. I know, and I definitely heard. What's that other one I just said first? Why am I blanking?
Song of the South was based off Magic Mountain. I know that.
Look, are we really gonna not do a Space Mountain movie while Ric Flair's still alive? So you can put him in a trailer just so you can say, "Oldest ride, longest line." That's all you got to do.
Oh, I
Come
don't
on
know.
now.
I didn't even know that was like his shtick, but okay.
Oh, he refers to having sex with him as Space Mountain.
Okay,
That's
well,
what
I
he says.
definitely would have put him in the movie.
He's done more advertising for that fucking ride than anybody else over the last
I don't
40
think that's
years.
the advertising that Disney wants. But
Disney needs any kind of advertising because I hope Emily Blunt sues the shit out of them after this opening weekend they got on this thing, by the way.
They can get sued and they'll be fine.
I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was good. I think the shocking reveal about The Rock that you're probably thinking about this movie is that this dude is Spanish. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, it was more so like the curse and that he's been like 1,000 years old, and in present time he's just like a shitty skipper. It's just like that didn't really track.
I found that way more believable than
And he
The
was
Rock is a Spaniard.
He was a conquistador back in the day.
Yes. I know The Rock is racially ambiguous. I know The Rock looks racially ambiguous, but conquistador was
Look,
1,400 conquistadors. Not what I was thinking.
this is The Rock, man. He's El Campeón de la Gente, okay? That's what The Rock is, all right? He's a goddamn people's champ, all right?
But it was I agree with you, Mark. Well, the 2/3 you saw, I'm sure you agree with me that it was an enjoyable movie. It was light for considering what it was, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Let me ask
Emily
this.
Blunt and Dwayne do a great job. They have good chemistry on camera together. They they accent each other very well.
Yeah. So,
Was it worth, I'm wording this exactly, listen to my words, what was it worth $30? Not was it worth your $30? What is the movie worth $30?
I don't think any movie's worth $30.
Yeah, I mean, I validated because it was Christine's birthday. She wanted to see it. It was either go to the theater or watch it at home. And if I went in the theater, I just would have been uncomfortable and sleepy. But at home, I was able to stretch out. Oh, I took a good look.
I've seen you take multiple naps in movie theaters.
I know,
You're
but they're not
fine.
comfy. They're
You're
not comfy.
fine.
I'm sitting up straight. And I'm not lying down because the theater.
Transformers 3. 2 naps in one fight scene.
No,
In fairness, that was a pretty shitty movie.
yeah, there was no Benadryl in that one, Bobby. That was all natural.
Shit was blowing up everywhere. And Mark woke up, saw it, and went back to sleep.
Yeah, there has to be some context to the blowing up. I can't just watch 40 minutes of fireballs and get excited. I need more stimuli than that. But believe it or not, I'm not even done yet. So I guess I'll mention, it was Christine's birthday. I've been regressing into my age, and I'm acting even older than my age now because outside of going to a farmer's market, which we did, and we got kettle corn for the movie.
Nice.
And that right there, man, let me tell you, some fresh caramel kettle corn. I could not stop eating that shit. I felt so sick after, but it was delicious. Outside of that, we also got wind that the Hallmark stores do Christmas in July, and we saw some of the Christmas ornaments, and there were some of them that were like, "Ooh, that's too good not to try to get our hands on." And let me tell you, I know I'm getting some looks here. They're looking like, "Ooh, is this guy 50? What is he doing? A little Christmas village here or something?"
Mark, I just feel you're playing into the best man speech I gave at your wedding at this point, where I talk about how old you are.
Maybe. But I mean, look, they know that millennials are becoming of age to be spending on Christmas ornaments. And I guess last year they had a little mini NES, and this year they had a little mini Super Nintendo that is so cute. And when you actually turn on the power, it has the Super Mario Brothers World cartridge in it. When you turn it on, it starts playing the song. And I was like, oh, well, that's worth a trip.
That's pretty
to
dope.
Hallmark. I mean, go check it out. It looks great. And Christine was saying like, oh, we get that. Like, it's not only on the Christmas tree. We are going to be using that around the house as decor. That was sold out. We went to 2 different Hallmarks. It was sold out at both, but they do have a pretty cool Sub-Zero winning pose that I was able to pick up. And Christine really wanted. It's actually pretty cool. They have a animatronic sorting hat from Harry Potter that you push the button and it quite authentically. And just walk around Hallmark. I mean, they got all kinds of Harry Potter and Star Wars bullshit for us millennials to decorate our apartments and houses with. So they kind of know the generational slide. It's less Snoopy and more Star Wars, Marvel, and Harry Potter, which I kind of enjoyed. That all being said, last and least, as Bobby and Stefan know, as they've been successful in their hunt for the PS5 and the exhilaration that goes into finding out when a drop's going to happen, and you get all excited and you log into the account and you're clicking on the put into cart and trying to check out as quickly as possible. I had a little bit of that this last week, except I was doing it for the extremely hipster handheld console called the Playdate, which released on the 29th for pre-orders. And what was nice about that is I had all the adrenaline and excitement of having a release time at 10 and trying to log in and get the date and get my credit card in there and be fast enough. It wasn't going to sell out. They said that blatantly we're going to take as many orders as people have, depending on how, where you are in the order queue. It might just take you longer to get your system. I got it pretty quickly. I'm very excited about it. I talked about the Playdate back at E3. It is, like I said, it is a console. It is a very niche console for the hipster gamer. It's about the size of a Post-it notepad. It kind of looks like a Game Boy, has a D-pad, 2 buttons, and then kind of the weird hipster thing it has is a crank. It has a crank on the side that you can use for different game mechanics. The screen itself is a 1-bit screen that is only black and white. And essentially when you order the Playdate, you get 24 games for free with purchase of the system that unlock 2 each week for the next 12 weeks when you activate your system. And these are games from kind of indie developers, some that are fairly prolific in the space, like Betty Foddy and Lucas Pope, who did Return of the Obra Dinn. So, there's actually some name value there, but it's a really niche kind of thing that honestly for me, when they did their kind of E3 press conference, I just kind of fell in love with it. I think it's a really cool, slick little device that I think in the annals of kind of being a video game collector or a video game, connoisseur of sorts, it'll fit nicely in my little repertoire of, fun little devices I have, like a Neo Geo Pocket Color, or the Super Nintendo handheld I have that plays Super Nintendo cartridges. It's kind of a fun, interesting little thing, and I was really excited to get it. And I'm excited, hopefully I get mine by late this year, and if I do, I will expand upon it.
Where'd you buy it?
What's that?
Where'd you get it?
From Playdate themselves.
Oh,
it's not really a thing
20,000 units in 20 minutes.
Yeah, so they basically said that they are planning to release 20,000 units within late 2021. Everything after that will be in 2022. So I think I got in there in the first, I got it within the first 20 minutes. So hopefully I'm in that queue to get it later this year. But yeah, it's really a device that I think it's easy to look at, especially at the price. It is $180, which is kind of, I think when you look at the specs of the device, it's kind of a little overpriced, but I think what you're really paying for is you do get those 24 games for free. And it is just one of these things that is just kind of, it's just weird.
It's kind of a
just
gimmick.
Kooky. Yeah, it's a gimmick.
Yeah,
it's totally
not in a bad way.
No,
it is a gimmick.
It just is what it is. And look, this thing's not a Steam Deck. This thing's not a Switch OLED. It's not going to be playing the AAA games. It's catering to a very niche audience, which I am in. I am a 35-year-old man that goes to Hallmark to get Sub-Zero figures for my Christmas tree and the sorting hat. This is where I'm at in my life, and the Playdate matches quite well into that. So yeah, I'm quite excited about it. When it comes closer to release and when I actually get my hands on it, I'll of course expound upon that. But that's stuff I like this week.
Right on. By the way, Christine is Mrs. Mark. If
True.
people don't remember
Mrs.
or don't
Paris?
follow us in every week. Yes.
We are the Paris Society here with Xena.
Yeah. Which I forgot to wish her happy birthday, so I just did.
Okay.
So
okay.
I literally was just like, I forgot to text Christine happy birthday. Oh well.
No worries.
Tell her to look at her phone. That'll work.
Yeah, I'm sure she saw.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week. No, we won't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, will we? Question mark.
I mean, that's up to you guys. I am occupied Monday evening.
It's not gonna happen. We're gonna take a break. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's let this shit marinate. We got a lot of stuff happening. We'll see what else happens in the AEW WWE situation. Maybe Hulk Hogan will jump. We don't know. It's 1996 all over again, basically, with the Monday Night Wars. Anyway, thank you all for listening so much. We really appreciate it. I tell you to go to Playdate, but I guess you can't. So, should they watch Jungle Cruise or not?
I think they should.
How many people should you split it with? 2 or 1?
2, 3. I mean, if you're hurting, honestly, I don't think it's necessarily worth $30. Yeah, I think you can spend your $30 on something better, and especially I think knowing it's gonna come to Disney Plus for free.
Doesn't fucking Suicide Squad come out on Friday?
Yeah.
Watch that.
That's
what I want to see.
If you're alone in your house and you're thinking, I'm gonna watch Jungle Cruise, 1, get a friend. Or 2, just leave your house, go to the movie theaters, and go watch it.
You know what I would say?
Why are you gonna spend $30 to watch this movie by yourself?
I would say save that $30, take $5 out of that allotment, do 1 month of Apple Plus, and then watch Ted Lasso because that was a lot more entertaining. I got a lot more laughs and
thank you.
Out of
I think you get. You know what? I think you can get a free 1-week trial with Apple TV too.
Burn?
There's only 12 episodes.
Yeah, you can run.
First season is 10 episodes.
Yeah.
You can knock out the first season, no problem.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll see if we got a fake heavyweight champion. I mean, we will. Someone's going to win, probably. We'll see what card's coming up at that point, because God knows what they're doing at this point. Thank you all for listening. I was Dr. Law. That was Lavender Gooms, and that was DJ Mark. We very much appreciate it when you listen to us babble about MMA. Peace out.
See ya.
Yeah.